It is Extreme Results Radio. Extreme results happen when you begin to discover little tiny things about yourself. And wouldn't you love to have an extreme result right now in your life, somewhere? Isn't there something that you're struggling with out there that you would love to have some kind of an extreme resolution, or an extreme move forward, or an extreme letting go? But until you begin to do the necessary work, until you understand, there's an A word that begins the process. It's called awareness. You have to be aware. And as you become more aware, you become more authentic. Because really, it's unavoidable. We can't help but absorb so much of who we are from where we come from. If you're born in another country, you have a different language, you have a different set of cultural values, but you can transcend that. You know, I hear people talking about one world. It is one world. I mean, it really is. In the biggest picture, we are all brothers and sisters in this life. Do we all think the same? Absolutely not. The problem is, it's our thinking that divides us from one another. One person thinks that they have to kill another person in order to be superior. But another person can think that they have to forgive another person to be superior. Once you begin to shed that old skin, you grow out of it, a new skin grows, and that new skin allows you to expand.
Let me ask you a question about the idea of expanding.
Yes.
Elaborate on that, because I want to finish my point on different types of listening, and it really ties in perfectly. What is the idea of expansion?
Well,
or the principle?
You know, this is a very interesting question, because if we are not in a receptive mode for any kind of truth, any kind, whatever it may be, then what we're doing is we're contracting. We're pulling into our shell. We're actually fortifying ourselves against growth. And so, depending upon what incentive you have for why a person changes and evolves as an individual, a reason, okay? And so whatever reason you have for growing, you will always expand to the extent that you have the capacity to accept more truth. But when you begin to draw lines and you begin to make conditions about how much truth you want to see, well, then you begin to contract again, and you begin to move away from growth and evolution and peace and happiness. So does that tie into your thinking about this?
Yeah. Well, when people come to that place that you just described, where there is that, let's just use the word expansion as a realm, as expansion as a domain, like a world of its own, different from the world of contraction. Expansion is its own realm. And in there is a different type of listening. Mm-hmm. There's a very different type of listening, because in that kind of listening, not only do you recognize truth when you hear it, not only are you always opening to continually remain in that realm where there's expansion, and therefore the truth will always keep you in that realm. So that's just who you are. It's just who you are. And so there's a listening there. But also, you know when someone's being deceptive. Your listening also has its own built-in mechanism to recognize deception, or you're not caught up in it. You don't believe everything that everyone says.
Yeah.
And let me add this. You ready for this?
Yes.
Not only do you not believe everybody else, but you actually then you stop believing yourself, the smaller self.
Yes.
The thinking self. You don't interact with your thoughts and believe them all of the time, because that's all the realm of deception. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, that's beautiful. These distinctions that you're talking about, I wonder if people are aware of the back talk in the back of their own head.
Right.
You're good, you're bad, he's good, she's bad, this is great, this is horrible. There's this constant dialogue or monologue, or maybe there's an entire circus going on somewhere in your head. But if you don't start to make the distinctions about the difference between you as the observer of life and experience and ideas and thoughts, then you're going to be subject as the experiencer of those thoughts and beliefs. And so whatever thoughts flit through your mind, whatever goes through your mind, you think that is your mind. You think that's you. I remember I had a friend one time, and he was adopted by his grandparents because his mother and father were killed in a car accident. I went to pick him up to go surfing one day, and he was like being really mean to his grandfather. And when he came down to my car, I said, "Why were you being so mean to your grandfather? That was really, really horrible." He goes, oh, well, it's just who I am. In that moment, he could have thought twice about it and said, oh, well, I guess I was mean. In other words, he had a moment of truth, but he just summed it up as being, well, that's who I am. I'm a mean, selfish guy. But see, he didn't care to explore it any further than that. It's just who I am. See, and so for people like that, they have a long distance to go. They have pain and suffering, which will ultimately, it's always pain that brings us to the desire for growth. See, and because without pain, as I said before, what's the incentive for anybody to grow? See, when people have a lot of money, when they have a lot of security, when they have a lot of friends that love you the way you are, your incentives are reduced. When those things begin to be stripped away from you, some people go to the bottle, or some people go to a needle, or some kind of control substance, or some kind of escape. But if you know that you've been there and it doesn't work for you, then it's the truth about yourself that's going to set you free.
You know the poet Khalil Gibran?
Yes, of course.
He said, the pain you feel is the breaking of the shell.
I love that.
That encloses you.
I love that. And it's true because, see, there's no growth without some form of... Interestingly enough, when a child is born, how can you imagine what the child is going through, coming through that birth canal? There's no breathing. There's a chance that you could die coming into the world. But once the experience is over and it's past, nobody has a memory of being born. Nobody. I mean, if you have a memory of being born, well, I don't know how to explain that, but for the most part, nobody can remember once the birth has taken place. You're alive. You're here. You've got potential. You can live. See, so you've got to go through the pain. You've got to be rebirthed, in a sense, through the pain. Let it go. Forgive people who have hurt you. Go on to live your life. And on that note, we got 30 seconds left, so you get the last word.
Well, I would say just, keep on flexing that muscle that would have you see yourself more clearly.
That's it. That is beautiful.
Keep taking the lids off the boxes.